Indonesia. Really good ramen place down there, Ramen Buddy. It's not that bad though. The land on your right is owned by what we call the Kamehameha Trust. 70% of all the money. One of the luxury shops here. Average rent here is about $1 million a year. 70% of that helps the students at the Kamehameha School. Tuition, books, and all that kind of stuff. So, not that bad. At least that's what I tell myself when I get the cheesecake factory. Now the sidewalks out here are very popular with street performers at night. All the singers out here, some of you guys know. Peter Hernandez, better known as Bruno Mars, used to sing out here before he became famous. On your right here, the wall on the south side of the oldest hotel, 125 years old. Has its original golden elevator and even have rocking chairs out front. Sit outside, hotel all that. That's funny looking two of us. Alright, this stop here, this is the Yukon statue. Red line. Alright, looks good. Next stop, the Twin Fin Hotel. On your right here, we are going to see the Duke Kahanamoku statue. Duke Kahanamoku, the king of surfing, the father of modern surfing. Duke, the first Native Hawaiian champion in the Olympics. 3 golds, 2 silvers, freestyle swimming, the first Native Hawaiian sheriff. The first Native Hawaiian to show up in Hollywood films. A lot of firsts for Mr. Kahanamoku. Perhaps the most important thing though was saving lives. Saved over 200 lives on a surfboard. Here's the reason why when you look at lifeguards in the United States, they all have that yellow surfboard, standard piece of equipment. That was started by Duke. He saved so many lives that lifeguards are like, wow, this thing works, so they started using it. So really, Kahanamoku saved thousands of lives. Think about it like that. Today's a good day for body surfing or bodyboarding out here. This is probably one of the more popular spots here, Walls. Named after these cement walls here. One of my favorite spots growing up. I'm born and raised here in Hawaii, on the very uptown bowl. Alright, this stop here is going to be the Twin Fin Hotel. Well, once, well, twice, alright, next stop, Honolulu Museum of Art. Off we go. Now, if you guys had one block down to your right end of the road here, you hit the Honolulu Zoo. Lots of interesting things at the zoo. You got Komodo dragons, snakes, giraffes, my sister. At the zoo, yeah, she's in the orangutan exhibit. Go say hi. For you guys, these historic tours, my goal with you is to make sure you kind of see where now, flight in Hawaiian means water, or kiki means spout. Bubbling. So this land here was known as the land of the bubbling water. Because of the mountain range in front of us here, the Ko'ola. The Native Hawaiians would come down from these mountains. They would build what we call rui, farming patches around here. farm something called kalo. You know what is taro? Essentially, it's like Hawaiian sweet potato, except it tastes like chocolate. It's horrible. But, taking advantage of this fresh water for miles here, things were in harmony. For over a millennia, 1,000 years, things are what we call cherry here in Hawaii. And then, dun dun dun, my ancestors, the English, showed up. Oh no. Now, don't get me wrong, the English did bring some cool stuff to Hawaii. They brought beer. They like to party here in Hawaii. They brought gunpowder. We love blowing stuff up. We do illegal fireworks all the time. Unfortunately, though, the Hawaiians, the English side, they brought a couple of nasties with them. They brought rats. But even worse than that, mosquitoes. And mosquitoes love fresh water. They spread through this area like wildfire, changing this land from a beautiful land to a swamp full of diseases that the native Hawaiians had no resistance to. The Kanakamahuli in the mountains at the beginning of the 19th century stood at about 330,000 strong. By the end of the 19th century, that number went down to 33,000. 90% of the native population died from disease. And it's why this canal here on the right was built. The Aloha Valley, the path of water, prevents Waikiki from flooding now. 2.5 miles long, finished in 1927. All that excess rain from the Ko'olau Mountain that used to travel here by those old underground lava tubes now goes out to the ocean. The land under us dried up, turned into pretty prime real estate. We did learn a little something from the Italians, so you can't just build buildings and hotels on clay and mud. You end up with a leaning tower of Aloha. So giant foundation was put in under us. Waikiki is technically 100% man-made at this point. Even the beaches are kept shallow by dredging sand from deeper offshore every couple of years. Now, some of you guys are probably looking at this canal here on your right and thinking, right, I could swim across that easy. Don't do it. You jump in this canal, you come on the other side, you're going to have some weird superpowers, my guys. Not the fun kind of fun, like 3 extra noses growing out of the top of your head, so you can smell stuff real good. We do, however, canoe here. As you look out to your right, you will see the 6-man ke'ai canoes. The native Hawaiians would use these type of canoes to travel around the islands. You could also strap 2 of these canoes side by side and go fishing for fully grown adult ahi tuna or sharks on the ocean floor. The average ahi tuna off the coast is about 700 to 800 pounds thereabouts. Big fish.
You can buy that.
They eat good in these warm waters. You guys will notice though, the sidewalk here really does not have like much to it, right? There's no guardrail here to stop you from falling into the water. The reason I'm telling you not to come in here is if you look at the water, you see some of this smooth, that's rainwater from the mountains. The water that pools up there in the mountains, off the side, ends up with a lot of bacteria in it. One of those bacteria is flesh-eating water. Yeah, that fellow got my bar fight and fell in right by those stairs over there, and well, didn't have a happy ending. Let's just leave it at that. He's got some young ones on board, and I don't want to scar them for life. But notice there's no railing here. Please don't ride your bicycle on the sidewalk. Ride your bicycles at the bike lane. If I see you on the sidewalk, I'll ring my bell. You might look left. You might turn right. You might run into the canal. You won't get your bicycle back. It's 50 feet deep. Yep. By the way, this canal, it's the same distance long as the Titanic is under the ocean surface. That valley there up to your right, that is Mauna Loa, known in Hawaiian as the Deep Lakes. See how the rain is touching the mountain tops there? It constantly rains up there, so it's one of the wetter areas. Also some fantastic hiking up there. One of my favorite trails, the Mauna Loa Ridge Trail. see our Hawaii Convention Center. It's one of the great rooms for all the major events happening here in Hawaii. Biggest event, 2024. Do you guys know what Pokemon is? Yeah, we have the World Pokemon Championship here. 130,000 birds sent upon the lake. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic, right? And if you were in this area doing a tour, you would have been stuck on that bridge for an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's alright, people are allowed to be passionate about stuff, though. But this area here in Hawaiian is called Mo'i'i. Mo'i'i is named after a giant lizard god called Ho'o. In the old Hawaiian legend, it's stated that Pele's sister, Pe'elena, she fought Ho'o in this area. Ho'o trying to escape from her burrowed underground, forming the caves, two caverns that we find underground here. Now, this isn't Teenage Ninja Turtles, right? That's lava activity that formed all that. There ain't no giant lizard underground, so we'll talk about it. Now, not at this light, but the next set of lights, you can see a pretty important building on the right side. It's a pink building. It's a basketball. My favorite is the 31st mint chocolate chip. I do accept ice cream too. However, this guy, he was born here, he lived in that apartment building with his grandma, he worked at that basket Robbins, chasing the lady around. He left the state, became a state senator and then president of the United States. Barack Obama worked at that Baskin Robbins on your end. You go in that ice cream shop, there's a nice sign on the wall that says, hey, if you work at Baskin Robbins, you too can become president of the United States. Now the road that Baskin Robbins is on, Waikiki Street. In the old Hawaiian times, there were the path of the chieftain and the path of the queen. King and queen's roads stretched through the royal grounds on this island, and the roads are meant only for the royal family members, or the Ali's family members, the men on the King Street, the women on the Queen Street. Now, I always thought, wow, waste of space, right? It's a big old road, only 30 people use that. Turns out I was wrong. King Kamehameha had 32 wives. Each of his 9 sons over 20 wives apiece. Those roads saw a lot of use. The Queen's Road saw more use than the King's Road because there were more women than men. Roads here, street names, are how we tell our story in Hawaii. This one here, it's also very important. Veritania loosely translated men from England. All the folks from England who came here got to live on this road, right next to the King Street. Now the reason the English had a little special spot here was when Kamehameha the Great was fighting to unite the islands. Especially during the Battle of Nuuanu, we had help. Admiral Young, and Young, the English admiral, actually became Kamehameha's close ally and friend, supplied him with guns, cannons, and small battleships for use in these battles. But more importantly, advice, support, and like I said, friendship, right? So, Kamehameha, to say thank you to the people of England after the Kingdom of Hawaii was formed, not only did he put a Union Jack up on the Hawaiian flag, and notice the Union Jack is very prevalent in a lot of Hawaiian iconography, but also, this road was built right next to King Street. So the English had a special place here. In fact, the Hawaiian royalty and the English royalty were like that. They're like best friends. Queen Victoria and Queen Liliuokalani were pen pals. That's how close they were. Oftentimes you'll see Hawaiian ladies with like a golden bangle around their wrist and it has a family name on it, right? That was actually started as a gift. Queen Victoria gifted Liliuokalani a golden bangle. And then that fashion trend continues on to this day. Sign of Hawaiian pride. if you're short, you could work in the hollow fields. Once you hit a certain height though, once you're waist high in the butt, you can pull those hollow plants out. So off into the fields you went. That's why a lot of high schools are really not named after Hawaiian royalty, middle and elementary schools. Alright, coming up on a stop here, Honolulu Museum of Art. Pretty sure they're closed today. I want to double check that. But pretty big collection of art, 50,000 pieces. Unique collection of Asian art. Overall, pretty neat place. Are they open? No. Yeah. But it is 25 bucks to come here. It's something I recommend you guys check out if it's open. So, still a stop though. Honolulu Museum of Art stuff. You hopping off here?
Yeah.
Museum's not open, just a heads up.
Yes.
There's trolleys every hour. I come back here every 2 hours. If you want the handsome driver, that's something, my man. Next stop, Hawaii State Capitol. Open. If you look to your left, you'll see a park here, Thomas Square. Originally commemorated third, and this is the place that natives would discuss politics. Hence the big ring in the middle of the park. But we'll notice the Indian banyan tree throughout the park. We see those trees a lot in Hawaii, right? With the roots dangling down to the ground. Those trees are actually introduced to Hawaii from 1891 by people. That tree and that much more special to me. I would declare my sister in that park. I would see how they probably went to swing. One day they'll shoot 5 up 120 feet in the sky and talk to fire. That was an awful day because when she got down, you know, it was like on the sand. Never trust a city. Now the play I told you about, the rain that falls up the side, off the Hawaii beach, that rain actually ends up filtering through the mountains and ending up in the old mango chambers beneath, providing us with clean drinking water. Every time you guys turn the taps on, every drop of that water was coming from the system, the self-replenishing system that we take care of, should cover the mountain, cover the islands of a very long time. It's also why we don't use chemicals or fluoride, and it's also why Hawaii has the highest rate of tinted pay per capita in the United States, because the water here is protected. Our Constitution literally says everyone has the right to clean water. To your left, we see the Honolulu Hale there. That's a big old building with a red tile roof. So Hawaii, before it was a state, but after it was annexed by the United States, it was a territory, like Puerto Rico. That was where you'd go to meet your members of government and be ignored by them. Now, though, we're a state, so you can come to our Capitol building and be ignored by them here instead. State Capitol took about 9 years to complete. Hawaii became a state in 1959. This Capitol building was built between 1960 and 1969. Now the Capitol building here has a lot of symbolism here. First off, I want you guys to notice the pillars in front of the Capitol. There are 8, each one representing one of the major Hawaiian islands. Now, there are way more than 8 islands in this island chain. There are 137 islands. But they couldn't fit every pillar in front, so 8 had to suffice. The 2 chambers on each side of the Capitol here represent the 2 volcanoes that form the island of Oahu. This is where laws are made, modified, and sometimes broken. This is a State Capitol. There are 2 things here, though, on each side of the trolley that are really important in terms of what they represent. The first, if we're looking at the Capitol building, I want you guys to notice that statue in the front, the man with the funny looking hat. Yeah. That is a man called Father David. To understand the story of the leprosy in Hawaii, all the lepers, we had an outbreak of leprosy in Hawaii in the late 1800s. The lepers were shipped off to the island of Molokai out east and abandoned. No food, no wells, no housing, nothing. Everyone thought, no problem with that. I don't want my nose to drop off. Father David, though, he went to Molokai. Belgian priest, he spent 16 years there. He cooked for the lepers, prayed for them, dug the wells, tried to treat the leprosy, and then died himself from leprosy. It's a selfless act, right? Something we can all take from, to give without receiving, to do for others. He He's my favorite religious figure in history, other than the big J man himself. And now he's a saint, canonized by Pope Benedict in 2013. On the right side of the trolley here, you can see the Eternal Flame. This is a memorial to a special division, the 442nd, which was made entirely of Japanese American soldiers. The 442nd was kept separate from the rest of the American divisions for fear of infighting, but it's also the most decorated military unit in America's history. 18,000 medals, awards, and commendations. What they don't tell you is many of those medals and awards and commendations were for dying in combat, because the Japanese Americans were sent into situations that many of the other units were not. That's not to diminish their sacrifice. That flame cut out last year, and the joke was, the state forgot to pay the expert. To the left of the Eternal Flame there, gatehouse to our very own Governor Josh Green's house. If you want a one-on-one meeting with the governor, just hop over the fence here. You'll be fine. Alright. Now as we head up, we're gonna our next little thing is we're going up in the National Cemetery of the Pacific. Our next stop though is the Boston Botanical Gardens. Keep your eyes to the right though. First thing we see here is Washington Place. When this was built, people were like, wow, it looks a lot like George Washington's house, so the name stuck around, right? This is actually the Royal Hawaiian residence. All the royal family members lived here, including Queen Liliuokalani. Now, as we know, Liliuokalani was overthrown by the United States, but she got to live here until 1917. And then the governor just moved right in 1923. So it became the governor's mansion. The flags are up, the governor's in, but the flags are down, he's away. So Governor Josh Green is out and about right now. Governor, though, you don't get to live in there no more. Now it's a museum for VIPs, very interesting people, so the governor has to live in that dinky little house behind. We gotta keep him humble, you know what I'm saying? You'll also see, though, this is very important, right next to the royal residences is a church. The missionaries did a heck of a job here in Hawaii, not gonna lie. And this church is one of many. This is an Episcopal church, Cathedral Church of St. Andrew. Every brick of this church was carved in Europe and shipped here by boat. This was built in giant Lego set, essentially. The stained glass pieces in the front, those are all the originals except for the one in the bottom right corner. Beautiful place. My favorite part about this, though, is if you look up at that bell tower there, I want you to notice there's only one cornerstone up there. There's supposed to be four, right? According to the stories, when the last ship was on the way here with those cornerstones, they got caught in a freak storm in the Pacific and whoop, sank, along with the party who was supposed to be celebrating the completion of the church. To save face, the church decided that that was God's will. God only wanted this to have long crown, so it was marked complete. Where is that coming from? Behind us? No, I'm right on the way. On your left here, we're going to see a school, Central Intermediate. The actual name of the school, Princess Ruth Piglet. Princess Ruth, this is the royal grounds. Princess Ruth tried to build a palace here to rival the Iolani Palace, but she ran out of money. She was shamed by the royal family. The school was built on the foundations. Princess Ruth was a bit of a black sheep in that sense. Now, you guys remember the King's Road and Queen's Road, right? In the ancient Hawaiian times, let's hop back. Let's say I'm a regular Hawaiian dude. I'm just gonna take a shortcut across the King's Road and no one's looking, right? Well, I get spotted. I have broken the law of kapu. Taboo, forbidden. And the punishment for kapu is not great for me. I'll be taken up to this hill here, in the front right corner of the bus, and I'll be sacrificed to the gods. My life. So, if you broke kapu, you cannot pay with money, jail, labor, The only payment accepted is your life. Another man who came to Hawaii learned the first foreigner to show up learned this lesson pretty rough. Captain Cook was sacrificed over on the Big Island of Hawaii for touching the elite. And he shouldn't have. It's a little more complicated than that, but essentially it comes down to that. Kapulo really sounds strict, but you gotta remember there are 8 individual islands. Each one has their own ali. They're all constantly fighting. So the only thing really keeping everyone in line was the rule of law, or fear of upsetting the gods, fear of losing spiritual energy, which would just be your energy, but also your ancestors and your family. The only other way to be sacrificed, really, was if you're in a battle, you are captured, you're a prisoner of war, at the time you would be sacrificed to the god of war, Ku. That's why a lot of times in great battles, in the mountains especially, Hawaiian warriors would literally toss themselves off of cliffs to avoid the dishonor of being sacrificed. If they thought they were losing, they tried to get themselves killed in battle. Luckily, we outlawed human sacrifice in 1803, so not so bad. The funny part is the National Cemetery of the Pacific, where we're heading up to, was built in the middle of the hills. Punchbowl Crater, we call it now, because Americans thought it looked like a bowl of punch in the sky. So it holds dual significance, not just to Americans, but also to Hawaiians. This valley here is a beautiful place. Hawaii is blessed in a certain aspect, in many aspects really. The beauty of the island is one of them. Many of the islands, this is the only place in the world where you can find every kind of land. Desert, swamp, grasslands, wetlands, mountains, rainforests, cricket, snow, Hawaii. This is one of those. The Palmetto Ridge Trail that links to the Papakolea back trail. My favorite hiking mile is on the island. Bamboo. One day I was hiking up here. I'm looking for Hinipi, very rare bird, the king bird. Seen 2 in my own 2,000 hike. One day I'm up here kind of, enjoying myself, lost in the sauce, so to speak. I turn around the corner with a little tree and I just hear, I ran into Mrs. Piggy and 10 little pigs. This piggy furious. I would love to tell you I got that pig in the rear naked chokehold. Nope. 10 cowards got me to climb the tree. I was in that tree from 3:30 to 6 o'clock because Doc needed to climb the tree right next to the board. So, something like me needed to bring a flashlight with you to make it. Now you guys see the name of the valley, Papakolea here. See the words Hawaii above that? That means welcome to Hawaii Papakolea. Welcome to the valley. The families in this valley love to compete with one another with fireworks. Luckily enough, this valley will fill up with smoke a lot of the time, especially you should come out to the west side on New Year's and get on those fireworks. The funny part is the sheriff has to see you light the fireworks and write you a ticket. So they'll just quit and sit on the bridge and watch the fireworks and everybody else. You'll see our majestic state bird on your right, the chicken. Our state bird is the natives, right? But here in Hawaii, a lot of people joke it's the chicken because we have a lot of feral chicken. The reason being, in the early 1900s, a lot of hurricanes went through Hawaii, and those high winds blew the chickens out of the coops. They just spread like wildfire. So there's a lot of feral chickens. On to your left there. Now, Diamond Head in Hawaiian, the Hawaiians thought it was something very different. So, in Hawaiian, so the Hawaiians come up, they're sitting up here on the side of the mountain, they're looking down there, like, oh wow, look at that. That looks a lot like the dorsal fin of a tuna fish, right? So the Hawaiians call this leapi.
Black.
In Hawaiian, denotes brown. Obviously, it's tuna. The brown tuna. Because you can see the brown right there like that. Now that always bugs me too when I go to a restaurant, right? You see on the menu, ahi tuna. Say tuna tuna. Don't make no sense. On the way down, we're coming down the same road, so you get another opportunity for photos. Now, very important part of the tour here, kind of, you know, sacred areas specifically for Americans. This is the National Cemetery of the Pacific. The grounds here line 1.5 feet wide by 9-inch tall tiles. Each one of these tiles represents an individual. Over 5,400 burials here, a number going up all the time. Many, though, are cremated as the columbariums. The flag is at half-mast. Someone is being interred here today. As we pass through here, I just ask you guys to take a moment, at least until we get to the other side to see Lady Alexandria looking over the missing actions. Just take a little time to kind of think about what you're looking at here. My great-grandfather died in World War II fighting off the Nazis. My cousin Robbie John died in Afghanistan. The 30-second silence greatly appreciated by me. Mahalo nui. Guys, appreciate that. Thank you so much. See a lot of birds up here. Those black ones there, minor birds, introduced to like most of the bird species you're going to see today are not native species. Most of the native species only really manage to live up in the mountains. I still see a lot of people have left flowers still from our Memorial Day, which happened rather recently. One thing to point out to you guys though, as we turn here, is the memorial to these missing in action soldiers. On your right, you will see Lady Alexandria standing on a bough of a bough, looking over lists of names on these walls. Each name of someone who's gone missing. Now, some of these names I do want you to notice do have a stamp next to them. That means that they've been recovered from their turret. Over 8,000 names. The work is still ongoing to this day to try to find those men. You'll also see places up there: Pearl Harbor, Coral Sea, Wake, Tokyo, Korea, Okinawa. The places where folks went missing, never to be found again. Now on the grounds here, sometimes you'll see tiles paired up, usually like on your left, that's a husband and wife. But this one on your right here is a sad one, that is a father and an infant daughter that are buried together. Now, here on your right, but this is not to diminish the contribution of anyone, but here are two very important birds. The first one will be by this first cement pad here. In the center we see Ernest Taylor Kyle. He's surrounded on each side by the unknowns. And the unknowns on the right are the men from the USS Oklahoma who were buried together in a mass grave after it flipped over and sank from Pearl Harbor. Ernest Taylor Kyle himself was embedded as a war journalist. most decorated military journalist of all time. He took photos of Hitler's bunker, things like that. Now here, by these flowers, the name isn't blocked by this pile of flowers, but the reason those flowers are there is because this is the grave of Allison S. Louise of Gunn. You guys remember the Space Shuttle Challenger? For those of you who don't know, the Space Shuttle Challenger went up and exploded in an accident which took the lives of 8 astronauts. He was one. He was the first astronaut from Hawaii. Those are some few of the many who are buried here. Now there used to be white crosses as far as the eye could see up here, but they quickly realized that people of different denominations on these headstones. So you'll notice some of them are Buddhists and stuff like that. So they now carve the denomination into the headstone, which I think is pretty cool. You guys know how I know these are Chinese banyan trees? The sign on the tree right there is Chinese banyan. Yeah, something I like a little bit while you're out there. Yeah, you can make a bonsai out of this pretty easy. Because the root structure is really pretty there. Now, there are many burials throughout the United States similar to this in a sense. Like cemetery, things like that. This one's unique though, and then it's built in the middle of all the active volcanic vent. Lava from this helped to form all those features out here, right? Federal law and all that stuff. Best way you're gonna get a diamond head, just wait until we pass by this fencing here, and then out the right. Once we pass the second tree, you should reach area. Down there we see a school, Bradford High. Now there's a guy, that guy I told you about who's singing in Waikiki, Bruno Mars. Well, he went to the school, lived right across the street from it. Bruno Mars is a performer's name, though, right? Bruno is the name of a wrestler. His dad suggested he use it. Mars, though, he wanted to be interstellar, so he gave that name to himself. Bruno Uranus is not a good performer. We've driven through a lot of history here. Perhaps the most important thing, though, is right in front of you right now. You just don't realize it. See the houses? They're curving up along the base of the valley here. This area here is a Hawaiian homestead. Papakolea, this valley, houses the highest concentration of homesteads. And homestead says if you're Hawaiian, you can lease one of these houses, one of these plots of land for $1 a year for 99 years. And then after that, it'll belong to your next of kin. The reason this law is in place is because, remember I told you 90% of Hawaiians die, right? Well, the remaining 10% were competing with foreigners, coming in and literally buying the land out from other. The king stepped in. He didn't want to see this happening, so he came up with homestead. It was pretty straightforward. 100% Hawaiian, plot of land, $1.80. Good deal overall, but the law has a flaw. And that's why our pension as it was 100% Hawaiian. But you see Hawaiians seeing all these beautiful people coming off the boats, they were like, wow. So the most Hawaiian someone is nowadays is at about 98%. There are no truly pure-blooded, quote-unquote, Kamaholi anymore. You will get some people who tell you they're 100% Hawaiian. Surprise speaking. Generally, better just don't argue with them. I'll let you know that. Not a good idea. Nothing to gain from it. Now, the reason why this is controversial is because the wait list is 13 years long. On the Big Island, some families have been waiting since 1950. The reason is the land is expensive. In order to build a homestead, the state has to purchase land. But all around here, $20 million Arizona. It's too expensive here. He was on the wait list for 11 years. When he moved to Arizona, he was there for a week, and then the Office of Hawaiian Affairs called him and said, "Hey, bro, found you a house." So you know what he did? He moved back to like his claim to fame. He lived in Arizona for Waikiki. But for $1 a year, I mean, right? Like, I'd do exactly the same thing pretty much for the most part anyway. I am not an alcohol, so I am just talking. A good example of this though is on your right here. You might have spotted these houses coming up. See these houses with the rusty tin roofs? These are leftovers from a plantation here in 1940. This plot of land here is worth $1.8 million. Comes with free recycling from the roofs too. Good deal. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, not super hard to build. You don't really need a lot of insulation. Mostly wood and cinder block, but it's still expensive. The old Hawaiian times, you know, is a little different. They didn't have 5 and 9 ownership like you and me think of nowadays, right? You had the royal grounds, but if you lived in the mountains, you were a hillbilly. You were low class. You lived down here near the royals, you were a fancy man. You were high class. One of the fanciest men was a man called Kamehameha. Kamehameha was a child of prophecy. He was one of those born during the passing of David's comet. A Hawaiian priestess had a vision. She prophesied one of these children born during this time would become the alii to unite the islands. Out of fear, many of the other islands' aliis had all of these children slaughtered for fear, losing their title. Kamehameha, though he was small away from his family, raised to be a warrior king, and his tail is a little tall in parts, literally. Kamehameha the Great was said to be 7'9", 400 pounds. He could take a spear and throw it clean over a mile and punch a hole through a long rock hole. Big grain of Hawaiian songs for that part of the legend, alright? Well, most of it is true. And Kamehameha went on a campaign to unite the islands after becoming the alii of the big island of Hawaii. He was like, we gotta stop slaughtering each other. So he sends a message out to all the other elites. It's pretty much like, hey guys, what's up? I'm Kamehameha the Great. Come join me. About 400 kingdom. I'll be your king. And then at the bottom of the message it said, P.S. If you don't join me, I'll kill you. That's just how things were done back then. Most of the elites actually joined Kamehameha. However, the king of this island was a man called Kalani Kapule. Kalani Kapule was not exactly a cool guy. He was the one making up the kapus and stuff. And so he decided, you know what, you want to take this island, you're going to have to come take it from me. That's what he told Kamehameha. Kamehameha said, alright. So, big battle starts on the beaches near Diamond Head where this tour began. And it escalates all the way across the island here. The battle rages. And this field on your right is the main final decisive point. Well, not the final, but it is a decisive point in the battle. Half of Kamehameha's army comes from our left and engages the King of Oahu here. Huge battle ensued. The other half of Kamehameha's army goes around the north side of the crater. Classic Pinsaru, King of Oahu, Kalani Kapule's army is crushed between the two sides of Kamehameha. They get routed and they retreat all the way up into the valley in the middle of the island. It's called New Oahu. And in this final battle, 10,000 plus of the King of Oahu's army soldiers plunge to the deaths. They're pushed off the cliffs. We know this happened. You see this highway here, the Pali? When this Pali highway was constructed, they had to pause construction multiple times because they kept finding remains of Hawaiian soldiers. One pile of skulls they found was over 700 high. The Battle of New Oahu didn't happen as long ago as I thought. I always thought it was in like 15 or 1600s. May 1795.
It's a rich history.
Next stop coming up is the Foster Botanical Garden. I told a lot of bloody stories today. Botanical Garden story is not one of those. It's a happy place. German botanists showed up, leased the land from the Queen, added all these plants, introduced the minor birds and deer to the island. But he left. Foster family bought it, expanded it, added over the plans. It's been a place where families have come just to enjoy the day for over 100 years now. However, this is us here. This is also happening in the so this is also known as the land. Most of this is also known as when you bequeath this land in the state, one, two conditions. One, it remains the town park for activity, and two, it's open to the public. This park is going to cost you $5. Pretty good deal. There's a lot to check out here. But if you want to eat, things up, Chinatown, you can grab it and take it to go eat it in the park. So, this is South Boston, town of Florida. Anyone hopping on? You guys are hopping on, alright.
Read it. Wala na akong gagawin.
Yeah. Probably 110, 112.
Pwede ka magpunta dun eh. Kaya lang, maghihintay pa tayo ulit ng ganito. Ha? Okay.
Maybe a little earlier. It's light. It's a bit generous. Everything we're going to see from this point on pretty much is here because of one reason. Sugarcane. Whole land. A lot of money needed for sugarcane. Chinatown was built because of sugarcane. And the Japanese temple we're going to see here is a result of a Japanese Shinto Buddhist priest coming to Hawaii to earn some money. When he got here, though, he quickly realized no one was practicing Buddhism, so he sought to change that. He built a bunch of temples, but eventually this one popped up. The classic A-frame temple. The back one's kind of like a Jenga puzzle. Izuma Taisha, Japanese temple. Now, it's been around for over 125 years. However, when World War II hit, Japanese Americans rounded up, put into internment camps. The priest was put into one of those camps. When he got out, the temple was gone. The United States took it apart. It took him 26 years to get that land back. Anyone have a problem? Alright, next stop, Chinatown. Now, dim sum. Right down here, this walkway, go to the end. Most popular dim sum spot is Legends. However, in my opinion, there's a better spot. My favorite dim sum place is called Maison Dim Sum. We're going to see it in a little bit. Maison Rocks. Now, Chinatown here used to be way bigger than this, but it burnt down twice in its history. It used to extend out to the road where the McKinnon Drive was. Now, the first time, we're going to hop on Samuel Jackson's trolley. We're going to go back to the year 1853. That parking garage on your right used to be a gambling hall. A guy got a letter. He was degenerate. You know, he loved gambling, but he got a letter from the gambling hall and it said, you know, where's my money? He didn't like that, so he came down to the gambling hall, held his letter up to an oil lantern, lit on fire, and threw it on the ground in protest, saying, you know, I'm not paying that. And he burnt down 95% of Chinatown. They rebuild. Well, you know, we jump ahead. Year 1900, rats. Rats from the harbor infest Chinatown, mixing up with the rats from Captain Cook. So, an outbreak of bubonic plague happens. Which is the Black Death that killed like half the Euro. We don't like that, so we evacuate everyone from Chinatown. And the plan is very dumb. We fill up a big building in the middle of Chinatown with carcasses of cows and pigs. And we figure the rats will be attracted and they'll do the ratty things. And then we'll burn the building down. You guys can feel the wind around us, right? Well, the winds that day picked up in the year 1900, January, to about 30 miles an hour. And we're very successful. We burned that building down, buildings around that, 100% of fire of Chinatown. Every single square inch burns to the ground, the wood isn't water. In fact, the fires were so successful that British battleships in port at the harbor had to use the cannons to blow up buildings along the harbor line and stop the fire from spreading. But third time is a charm, knock on wood. Rebuilt, this time they used bricks. building. See those black bricks? Those black bricks are reused from that year 1900 fire. Those bricks are all 126 years old plus. Older than anyone on this trolley. Unless you're 126 and share your moisturizer in. Alright, this stop. Chinatown, anyone hopping off? Yeah, my mother-in-law's restaurant around the corner there, Ginger and Garlic, shameless plug, check it out. Really, this corner, Smith Street, yeah. You know what makes Cantonese food taste better? When it's free. Alright, you guys have a good day now. Okay, next stop, the Yolani Palace, come in a statue. You guys got your trolley tickets?
Marami yung nalulog mga mga dito.
And the
Kasi
tickets
sabi nila
are
nalulog
with
na daw. Tapos ni-review. Hindi namin
all
siya
the
makabalik.
last. Alright. Oh, very good. Looks good. Alright, next stop. The Yolani Palace, come in and statue. Now, Chinatown here rebuilds after those fires. When the sailors from Pearl Harbor discovered this area, guys, what do sailors like to do when they're not at work? They like to drink. This room here, Hotel Street, becomes a den. Ladies of the night, street fighting, gambling, you name it. The men from the USS Arizona would have drank at a bar that shut down just a week and a half ago. The Smith's Union Bar, right over here on the side of the road. 94-year-old bar shut down because the landowner here is kind of not a cool dude. You'll see the Hubba Hubba Live shows up there, that sign. Gives you an idea, right? Now, someone notices the sailors were going back to work drunk. Over the mountains behind Chinatown, there's a Japanese tea house called Natsu Onions. They have a customer, Japanese fellow, drinking green tea, looking through the binoculars. Turns out, he's a Japanese spy. He's watching the sailors. He came down to Chinatown to investigate, discovered the sailors were going back to work not fit for duty. So he sent the intelligence back to Japan. It ended up in the hands of Admiral Yamamoto, who used it to plan the attacks on Pearl Harbor to be early in the morning. December 7th, 1941 at 7:55 a.m. Because of the man in the mountains was considered the attacks happened so early, but also because of this singular spy. Japanese Americans are to intern captives. But the sad part of this, the spy, he had no idea the intelligence he was gathering was being used to plan an attack. And he was blamed for World War II when he moved back to Japan. Not the emperor, not the government, this singular man. This is our downtown area. No one wears suits and ties around here, though. Everyone's wearing a whole bunch of shirts and slacks, so I want you to notice that. Our business attire is a little more relaxed here, because everyone's wearing suits and ties. This road will be lined with ambulances as far as the
Did you bring your battery charger?
This road here, the Queen Street. Remember I told you about the King's Road, but this is the Queen's Road. Only for the women in the royal family. Back in the day, though, men and women weren't exactly treated equally, so this road is a little less wide, a little less long than the King's Road. Now we know that men and women are very much equals. In fact, my wife will constantly remind me that women are better than men. And I will say, yes, dear. Happy wife, happy life. So, come up to Yolani Palace, come in a statue. You guys will have about 10 minutes here to do what you need to do. Take photos, make memories. A couple of things you cannot do. You cannot go inside of the Yolani Palace unless you have a tour already lined up. No. You cannot climb on the Kamehameha statue. That might be shocking to some people, but a guy on this tour thought that was a good idea one time, and 6 sheriffs came out of the LA Supreme Court. And he didn't get back on this tour. Yeah, he was drinking a funny looking brown liquid out of a spray bottle. I was like, bro, use a Coke bottle. Come on. Don't insult my intelligence. Come on. So, 10 minutes. The trolley will not be leaving for 10 minutes, so you may as well use your time and use it wisely.
Kuha tayo. 10 minutes daw eh.
There is a bathroom inside of the race train court. I know, it's like all the stalls have been taken. Oh, never mind. Sweet. Timing is key. So, right side of Ice Cream Court, across the street in front of us, the Yelani Palace. The man-made statue lies in front of the Supreme Court here on your right. There's a bathroom inside of there. If you need it, use it. If you don't,
10 minutes.
don't. Alright, 10 minutes, guys. You guys go on the palace here? Oh, okay. Right. Oh, wow, appreciate the orders.
Wait, you want to go?
Not all, but I still have a lot.
Be back 10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
You want to go cross? You want to go cross? Yeah.
to go back.
Thank you.
All of you.
Thank you. Jumping away.
Oh yeah.
Ten minutes already?
Yeah.
That's quick.
Nag-alarm kami. 9 minutes.
Let's go try.
Okay, 2 more minutes.
Let's go sit at the back. We're back.
Hey, welcome back, guys.
Thank you. Isa, dito tayo sa mga. Come on, go to the other side.
Wait.
Hurry up.
Ayaw mo sa kanya?
No. I wanna sit next to Mama.
Tayo lang inintay.
Why didn't you just sit here?
Love you.
All right, hopefully that's it, huh?
Nag-ano siya.
Next stop, the little tower market.
Nalulungkot siya. Papa. Yan sa ginawa mo. Siya.
Love you, Mama.
Oh.
Now the statue you see on your right, not the first statue, that was the second statue. The first statue was made in France, made its way around the Falkland Islands with a big boat. And then as it passed by the Falkland Islands, it went, whoop, fell off. No one tied it down. This is the second statue. There are 2 more on the Big Island. That first statue is recovered though. It's in the National Archives now. You see on your left, Utility Palace, the only royal palace in the United States. Notice the lamp posts up front. Those are actually electric. King Kalakaua was a friend of Thomas Edison. So Thomas Edison came here and hooked this place up. It had electricity plumbing and lighthouse and light poles before the White House and before Buckingham Palace. Supreme Court building on the right. If you haven't seen Hawaii Five-O, you probably recognize that building as Five-O's headquarters in the show.
Somebody's in there.
Most important room here, though, is where the unit of the palace lives. You look up. That's where Princess or Queen, sorry, Liliuokalani was imprisoned and placed under house arrest. Made to watch while the United States surrounded the palace with cannons. They built the territorial office building right across from her window, so she would watch. The guy who led the overthrow against the government was the name you'll notice. The leader of the Committee of Safety was a guy called Sanford Dole. Dole Pineapple. That's right. It's all about money at the end of the day. Now this church here on your left, pretty cool place. I want you to notice the bricks of this church are actually hand carved out of coral reef. This brick is made of coral. This church is made of coral. Every single piece. The reason being, in the harbor, they couldn't fit 8 boats here, so they just scooped all the coral out and built this. Also, some of the gravestones you guys are going to see on your left are also made of coral reef. How did the Hawaiians get the coral out, right? They didn't have scuba gear, jackhammers, anything like that. What the Hawaiians had were people. The Hawaiian watermen had a special power. They could go, they hold their breath for over 6 minutes at a time. So they just did that with a hammer and a chisel and dove down and carved out all that coral. All the buildings in this area, all around us here, these are all built on ancient Hawaiian burial sites. Thousands of Kanakama'oli who died from disease were buried in this area. So if you're ever at the prosecutor's office, don't be there. Immigrants coming to Hawaii were greeted not by the Statue of Liberty, but by the Aloha Tower, which you can see on your right. It's the tallest building around when it was finished. 1926, it was 200 feet high. Now it's getting a bit of a face job right now, a bit of a paint because those Konolo storms that came through, they really messed the tower up. It's very exposed to all those high winds and storms. Once in a 50-year storm we had. Now that tower was taken over by the military. The United States military, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, turned it into an air defense fortress. Above the words Aloha, there were Browning 50 caliber machine guns all around. As an anti-air fortress, we thought Japan was coming back for round 2. So this stop here, this is going to be the Aloha Tower Marketplace and Honolulu Harbor. Anyone hopping off here? Going once. Going twice. Alright. Next stop is going to be Salt Kaka'ako. Duke Kahanamoku broke the 100-meter freestyle record out here in 1911. However, people in 1911 were racist, so they couldn't believe a brown dude beat a white guy's record, and they came up with excuses. My favorite excuse, Duke Kahanamoku was pulled by sea turtles. This is crazy. A lot of free diving to do out here and stuff. Very shallow. The Hawaiians would take advantage of this area. They would build giant rectangular ponds and farm salt. Hawaiians didn't have chilies, didn't have peppers, didn't have seasoning for the food. They just didn't have any of that stuff here in the lights. So salt was like super important, right? Otherwise, it's horrible. Fish would be preserved. One dude had the first job to come on this street out here. He used to have to take a paddle and mix up salt water all day, 13 hours a day. Spots to surf. Well, there's a big stone on the beach here, and on that stone are carvings that show the Hawaiians farming not only fish and color but salt as well. Every time you see a pillar that represents those carvings.
Okay, job is covered.
Love you, Mama.
As you turn near the trees, source of that nut. They're full of oil. It's flammable. They're great for skincare. They're also edible with incredibly laxative. One kukui nut equals about 2 hours on the toilet. Kukui nuts about 5 hours. Don't ask me how I know. I do. Don't eat anything on the ground, guys. On your right here, though, is our next stop, Salt to Kaka'ako. Lots of great places to eat here. There's Loco's Kitchen, Pioneer Saloon, Giovanni Shrimp, all kinds of stuff here. What's up, guys? Before see those tickets from outer space. Alright, next stop, Ward Villages. Now, there's one place here that is really good, and it's something I think you should all try. It's called Highway Inn. It's Hawaiian food. If you've never had a proper Hawaiian food meal, then this is the spot to get it. So as you look out to your right, corner of the building here, you'll see a green restaurant there. Mobile salmon, squiggle out, pork lots of a lot of art out here. Notice all the street art. This is actually a result of the state trying to make this place fancy. This used to be the most crime-ridden area in Hawaii. Kaka'ako used to be a den. It was horrible. But after 10 years, it's now the most desirable neighborhood apparently in all of the islands. All these high-rises built in the last 25 years. Something to teach you before. My sister's a teacher, so this is kind of a decision to my heart. See that big ugly white really monolith thing that bottom truck building on that 700 square feet? Something to teach you on a salary of $62,000 a year or more. $1.2 million. Yeah. If you think that's affordable, by the way, for sale right now, $100,000 pair of Skechers. Vintage. Good deal. On your right up ahead here, this basin to what's called Wallow. Historically, this was a site of worship to the god of the ocean, Kamaloa. Nowadays, though, this is where you go do your scuba, your glass bottle coat, you got a submarine that goes on the water here and everything. You got all kinds of stuff. If you want to do any ocean activities, you know, Waikiki, this is a place to come check out. Next stop coming up is Ward Villages. Most of Ward Villages has been knocked down. I'm ready for all the high rises here. There used to be a two-level kind of shopping mall similar to Alamo, which is our next stop after.
Second one, sir. Second one, sir. Is legal now.
Alright, this stop here, this is Ward Villages. We're hopping on. Hold on. On the play. Next stop, Alamo Shopping Center.
Sabi niya tayo balik.
This used to be a building site. Industrial waste. Sacrifice for the thousands.
Where?
Ano daw?
Jolly. Yeah, Jolly. Oh, man.
Alright, so this stop here, this is Alamoana Shopping Center. Anyone hopping on to? Alright. Well, we'll be home, my guys. You have a nice day. Take it easy. Have a good one. Appreciate the tip. Mahalo,
Gusto
man.
kumain ng coffee.
Yeah, have a nice day. Alright, next stop.
Kailan tayo?
Yeah, pero tingnan ko muna yung ano. Punta muna tayo dun sa may hotel natin. Kasi, parang sabi ko muna yung gagawin natin.
you're in the military, this is a recreation center you have access to. If you like burgers and beer, on the left, the Waikiki Brew Company. They brew everything right here in-house, really tasty. There's also a lot of food trucks around here too, so if you don't know what you want to eat tonight, or any night, you just come hang out in this area. Don't eat too much, you'll end up in an ambulance like that guy. Actually, don't know what's going on here. And just so we're aware, later in the week, Friday, block party, Saturday, parade, Sunday, parade. So this road here is going to be all fun jammed up. But block parties are always really fun. Now the Pan Pacific block party, as you can see on the side here, that's a lot of different Asian food. Alright, we're near the end of the last red line tour. Thanks for coming out. Feels like keep coming. You had a good time today. My name's Sam. This is Red Line. If you didn't have a good time, my name's Hector. This is Purple Line. Again, make sure you got all your stuff with you, though. I know in some of your cultures it's considered disrespectful. Typically, it's disrespect me as much as you want. No problem. But you should have enough time once we get there to transfer to any of the other lines. Blue line. Green line's done for the day. So Diamond Head's probably closed as well.
You sound like you're really jealous because I can hang her now.
Show someone a good meal tonight. On your right, the Ritz-Carlton, there are two very high-end restaurants. There's High's Steakhouse. There's also Fiora.
That's you.
Are fantastic. If you want cheap food, let's say you're sick of spending money on food, you're like, well, there's a place right in the middle of Waikiki that's dirt cheap called Marugame Udon. They hand make fresh Japanese noodles in front of you. You can get a full bowl of food for less than $7. Something to keep in mind.
Pwede sa may food truck or yung katabi ng handa yung may bukid no?
Ang gusto ko doon pumunta sa Pokemon yung kami baba.
Make it happen.
Ay baba.
Yung kanina nakita natin sa naghihintay tayo.
Walang tao dun eh. Parang matumi.
Okay, sige na tayo sa Sige, tapos na natin.
Wala na kayo. Pwede naman.
Sige, sige na tayo sa mall. Tinalos ko lang kapag natin sa mall. Okay. Kasi ba papasok ako doon dahil kaya kung sabi ko sa bilis. Sige, doon na tayo sa mall kasi walang package maliit eh. Tanong ko na lang si Hazel.
Gusto ko pula tayo sa ulan.
Pag nag-swimming yung dalawa. Pag nag-swimming yung dalawa.
Hindi ko sila kaya.
Oo. 18 na siya eh.
stop here.
Sa baba?
This is the last stop for the tour.
Huli ka na, baba na tayo.
Uwi muna tayo.
Yeah.
Just gonna go in a circle again.
Baba na tayo?
Baba na tayo.
Isa.
If you have a multi-line pass, you can always transfer over to the blue line. Right over here.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice day. Oh, I appreciate the tip. Thank you, my man.
Yep.
Where are you guys trying to go to? There we go. All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.
Where? Hotel first.
Slippery, okay?
How long have you been recording?
Oh, we're going that way.
See? Oh.
Excuse me. Yan nandiyan mga food truck dati. Yung mga cart, mga truck dati dyan. Sa likod. Yan lang lang. Yung mga truck nandiyan.
You know what? Oh, is that what you call it? You know? I didn't know that.
Parang dito yung mga food truck dati. Parang dito rin tayo nakapagbili noon ng ticket eh.
Nung matandaan yun. Ay, iba yun.
Somewhere.
Yeah. I remember yung sabi mo.
They're open. Mga kulago.